We are free, we are limited. There are no chains that bind us. We are free, we are unlimited. Right now, right now.
Ah, so beautiful. And welcome on this second Sunday in October. The next 2 weeks, I'm going to be on vacation, and Reverend Maggie will be here to serve you and giving message. But it's my delight to be here because it's still the month of zeal. And zeal is something I really align myself with. And I want us to look at how we can bring that energy to bringing good, to bring change, to bring, as my title is, being a light in challenging times. And to start off, I have this quote from our master teacher, Jesus. Jesus always brought forth great truth. And here, John chapter 5, verse 5. As long as I am in the world, I am the light of the world. As long as we are in the world, we are the light of the world. Jesus also said, my way is easy, my burden is light. And light isn't very heavy. And I want to bring us to the knowing that in challenging times, we can bring the light. We can bring the solace. We can bring the solution. This reminds me of my own father. My own father, you wouldn't want anyone more than him if there was an emergency. And on that date, on August 26, 1998, when Owen was inside that mini-mart and that sport utility vehicle ran through the wall and ran over him inside that market, there was one person I knew to call, and that was my father. I was in shock. I was alone. Owen was in surgery. I was bereft. I was in challenging time. And when I talked to my father, he said, I'll take care of it. He went and picked up my sister, and then he went to pick up Owen's parents. And what he brought in emergency was grounding, so grounded, and had the facility of I will take care of it. It's all right. And then knowing just what to do next so that everything would work out. And isn't that something each of us can do? Because we have the light, as Jesus said, as long as I'm in the world, I am the light. And that's true for each of us. And then I want to turn to co-founder of Unity, Charles Fillmore. Now, he wrote this statement and said it just before his 94th birthday, and I align with it quite well. He said, I fairly sizzle with zeal and enthusiasm and spring forth with a mighty faith to do the things that ought to be done by me. See, our zeal, that enthusiasm, is our innate ability to achieve anything. It's that passion, it's that energy, it's that oomph that allows us to go forward, walking through fear or having great celebration. And we use that zeal, that enthusiasm every day. And when we put our faith in our ability to be that light, then we can be the light through whatever challenging time we're having. And certainly, right now in our lives, we're immersed in a very great social change. There's going to be political change. There's this global pandemic. There's issues of racism and wholeness and oneness that we're embracing. There's also issues of separation and anger and rage and hurt. And no matter where there's darkness, light brightens. And when there's light, there is no darkness. Newton Dillaway was a great writer, New Thought writer, and he brings this simple wisdom. Nothing great was ever achieved without enthusiasm. So, getting out of bed in the morning, we tap into our enthusiasm. When we buy a home, it's done with that enthusiasm. When we make the charted course to go on some great adventure, some safari through the African desert, it's our enthusiasm that guides us and leads us. In truth, when we notice that something's not right, when something's out of balance, when there's some chaos, distress, it will be our enthusiasm that allows us to walk through that mess, walk through that challenge. And there are many times in our lives when we can do that. And I love this quote by Maya Angelou. Maya Angelou was a great poet, and she liked unity very much. And so she says this, which is part of that inward journey of this life. I not only have the right to stand up for myself, but I have the responsibility. I can't ask somebody else to stand up for me if I won't stand up for myself. And once you stand up for yourself, you'd be surprised that people say, "Can I be of some help?" And that's true. Because sometimes we have a little reticence to take that first step towards standing up against a wrong. When we find the gumption or the willingness or the courage to voice, "This isn't right," or "I notice I'm a little angry, I'm afraid." And when we can stand up for ourselves, we can find that grounding that I talked about with my father when he stand up against any emergency situation. I mean, really strong. And there's a difference when you're kind of standing up and when you stand strong and hold your grounding. This is how you don't get blown over by someone's words or by someone's actions. And when we stand up for ourselves, we tap into that enthusiasm, that zeal, which is the very same energy that allows an ant to carry that into the nest. It's a part of living our life, is using that energy. I love looking at the wisdom of Albert Einstein, a great scientist of the past century, and he also had really profound wisdom. He says here, the world will not be destroyed by those who do evil, but by those who watch them without doing anything. Now, we have examples of this from the past, but we can find it in our everyday. How often do we see something that's not right and we don't say something and let it go by, and we get home and we're kind of disappointed in ourselves for not saying something, not doing something to make things right. This is part of this standing up for ourselves, because we know what our truth is. And if we know it, there's times when we need to speak it, do it, act it. It's the fifth unity principle. It's not enough to know the principle. It's not enough to know that we're one with God. It's not enough to read a good self-care book. We must be it. We must do it. We must roll up our sleeves and be willing to do what needs to be done. And certainly, when a wrong is happening and we can identify the wrong, we need to do whatever we can, maybe by getting some help, to rectify so that that doesn't continue happening. This is important for us in our living. That when we're going to live and be a light in challenging times, it means we need to shine our light. We need to put our light where there is some darkness. It's very, very powerful. And it's ours to do as truth students. And each of us are going to see the world in our own way. We're going to see these situations from our own being. And we can and will, when we choose, to be a light and walk towards challenging times with courage, because we know where we're grounded. We're grounded with all the power of the universe, one with God. And that oneness will guide us. My last quote today is from Malcolm X. Now, Malcolm X was a African-American Muslim minister, a powerful speaker and civil rights leader. And he came from a very troubled background and had a very difficult journey to rise to where he was recognized as a great leader in this nation. In fact, at his death, thousands of people came to his funeral and recognized what this eloquent, wise man did as he walked this earth. And there are many states that still celebrate Malcolm X Day, honoring this great leader. And these words couldn't be expressed better. They are: I'm for truth, no matter who tells it. I'm for justice, no matter who is for or against. I am a human being, first and foremost. And as such, I'm for whoever and whatever benefits humanity as a whole. Well, these words are something I can live by because I know my truth. And I know that I'm empowered by these faculties of being. And that any time I can stop, connect with this knowing within, and use my energy, that zeal, that enthusiasm, to take step, to be a light, no matter what the challenging time. Because as Malcolm X said here, I am a human being first and foremost, and as such, I'm for whoever and whatever benefits humanity as a whole. My vision through this global pandemic has been that all humanity would identify and come to know that the tools of compassion, love, and service work, always work, and that all of humanity, as they use these tools, will understand and come into a greater awareness of our oneness. And that's a powerful vision. I hope you'll join me in that vision, because there is a bright light beyond this global pandemic, and it will be what we envision it to be.
Step out on the water, release your faith. Every step is stronger. Step out on the